I'm Clara Hayes, 32 years old, and the sting of my sister's betrayal still cuts deep. My sister stole my inheritance and bragged about it at dinner. Stick around to see the clever revenge that turns her victory upside down. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell. It was a warm evening on July 15th, 2025, in Adelaide, the air filled with the scent of wattle from the Adelaide Botanic Garden and the distant hum of trams along King William Street, when I sat in the cozy dining room of our family home, a heritage cottage in North Adelaide I'd helped maintain. The room, with its wooden table, framed photos of our childhood, and a faint aroma of rosemary from the roast, had been my comfort. But that night, it became the stage for a betrayal that shattered my trust under the soft glow of a pendant light. I was 32, a freelance photographer with a passion for capturing beauty, my career blossoming after years of struggle, my spirit bright among friends who admired my creativity. I'd stayed close to home since 2015, contributing to repairs with my earnings, my name a gentle presence among cousins who cherish my lens. That evening, as we shared the meal, our fathers will read just days after his passing on July 10th, 2025, splitting his $800,000 estate. My sister, Rachel, smirked across the table. I forged the addendum, and it's all mine now, she boasted, her voice smug, claiming the inheritance I'd expected to share after years of care. To rob me, she enlisted our uncle, who notarized the fake document, and a lawyer friend, who overlooked the fraud, spinning tales of my irresponsibility to justify her theft. My savings, once a joint effort, were now a casualty, Rachel hinting at needing the funds for her lavish lifestyle. My best friend, Liam, a supportive editor with a kind heart, tried to console me, but Rachel's influence silenced him, leaving me isolated in a room that once held laughter. The will document, now a symbol of my exclusion, lay beside an empty chair where I'd sat with Dad, its edges curling as if mirroring my fading hope. Those words, "It's all mine now," became a relentless echo, pulsing through every photo I edited, every memory I replayed, every moment I stood by the window. I felt the weight of that moment in the days that followed, sitting at the wooden table, the will in hand, as I researched legal options on my laptop, the screen lighting my tired eyes after sleepless nights plotting. The dining room, with its mismatched chairs Liam had jokingly painted, a rug worn from pacing, and a single window framing the Adelaide skyline, felt like a cage of her greed. Liam took on extra editing gigs, magazines in Norwood, portfolios in Glenelg, his evenings spent refining images under a desk lamp, the scent of ink a testament to his support, while I pieced together a counter-move with photography income, consultations with a solicitor in prospect, and the last of my resilience. My nephew, Ollie, born in 2018 to Rachel, grew up with my photo albums turned into games, his childish questions a soft ache. "Why isn't Clara sad?" he'd ask, his small hands tracing my prints. I'd smile through the tightness, spinning tales of new pictures, but the truth gnawed. Rachel and her allies had betrayed me, their narrative of my worthlessness spreading to relatives, their theft a wall against my legacy. Rachel's dominance grew in the weeks that followed. By July 25th, 2025, she'd liquidated half the estate, buying a car and planning a trip, while I was relegated to outsider status, my contributions dismissed as unnecessary. I rebuilt quietly, consulting a forensic document expert, Ms. Patel, who offered analysis over tea in her unlay office, her sharp eye a beacon. But the wound deepened with every update. Rachel's smug posts on Instagram, her silence at family calls, Ollie's confusion at my absence, each a fresh cut. Ms. Patel's unwavering support, her late-night document checks, her herbal tea, her evidence pointers, kept me steady, her friendship a lifeline in the storm. The turning point came on July 30th, 2025, when Rachel's brag solidified. She texted, "Enjoy your photos, Clara, I've won." My pulse raced. This was my cue. That night, I contacted Ms. Patel, who helped me draft a legal trap. "You can expose her, Clara," she said, her tone firm. "The truth will shine." On July 31st, 2025, I turned the dining room into my strategy hub. Amid albums and lenses, I reviewed the will and forgery evidence, my fingers steady but resolute. At 8 a.m., I confirmed the fraud with Ms. Patel's report. My hands shook as I planned my move, the past merging with action. That morning, at 8:42 a.m. Australian Central Standard Time, I waited by the window, the Adelaide skyline a quiet witness, plotting my takedown. The next family dinner was my stage, a day to face her folly. What they didn't know was I turned her theft into a flash of justice, forged by 32 years of grit. The week leading to the dinner was a meticulous snapshot of strategy and subtlety, my days at home a cover for the revenge framing in my mind. By August 1st, 2025, the dining room, its walls lined with photo prints, its table cluttered with legal papers and a camera, its air tinged with rosemary and ink, became my darkroom where every shot and step fueled my resolve. Miss Patel and I met that evening, her report open on the table as we reviewed the will and witness statements, the soft clink of teacups a rhythm to our planning. The estate, split in the original will, was my right, its value now $800,000, while my care had been exploited, leading to Rachel's forgery. Miss Patel's analysis revealed a pattern: Uncle's complicity, the lawyer's negligence, a cover-up of a 2024 dispute hushed with family pressure, a fragile claim on the brink. I contacted Liam, my editor since 2018, his supportive voice joining us via a crackling call from his home in Kensington. "You can expose her. Hit her with proof," he advised, his tone laced with old loyalty. I nodded, my plan a composition crafted from years of suppressed trust, each frame a memory of lost share, stolen pride, broken bonds. The dinner, set for 6 p.m. on August 7th, 2025, would be her exposure, a gathering of Rachel's allies, relatives, and Ollie, all drawn by the promise of her victory under the cottage's warm lights. I'd pose as a quiet sister, my dress swapped for a casual top with a hidden pocket, my movements calm with a camera bag to signal my intent, my long blonde hair in loose waves a symbol of my enduring grace. My task was to present the evidence and record the reaction, with Ms. Patel signaling Liam's media contact at 6:30 p.m., timed with Rachel's toast, ensuring maximum impact. I secured the plan through Ms. Patel, who networked with a journalist from Adelaide Now, her text on August 3rd a confirmation I clutched like a lens, her note reading, "Your shot, Clara." She suspected nothing, her expertise a tool I'd wield with care. Preparation was a rigorous focus, a blend of mental discipline and emotional steel. I practiced my entrance daily along the North Terrace path, perfecting a steady stride and a warm, unassuming smile that masked my burning resolve, my camera bag tapping a rhythm of purpose against my side. I rehearsed lines, "Let's toast to the truth," though each word carried the weight of Rachel's betrayal, Liam's steadfast friendship, and Ollie's innocent trust in my past. Physically, I edited photos and packed evidence daily, my hands steadying, but each click strengthened my will to stand tall that day. I revisited old mementos, drafts from 2025, a faded photo with Ollie at a shoot, an album he loved, a rejected estate plan, each a spark in my fire. One night, I found a trash box of my early prints, its contents lost, and wept, the lost art fueling my fury. I tracked Ollie's life, his school plays, his friendship with a boy named Max, hoping this act would secure his future free from Rachel's shadow. On August 6th, Rachel called, her tone smooth with false warmth. "Clara, join us tomorrow. Let's move on," she said, her voice polished but laced with control. I agreed, hiding my scheme. She didn't suspect I'd coordinated with Miss Patel, who'd lined up Liam's contact, or that I'd prepared a top with a hidden pocket, its fabric a shield of my past honor. The evidence arrived that night, verified by Miss Patel, its weight a promise of justice. At 5:30 p.m. on August 7th, I entered, the dining room alive with the clink of glasses, the Adelaide skyline a soft witness. Uncle spotted me near the door, frowning. "Clara, you're here," he muttered. I nodded, my camera bag ready. At 6:05 p.m., as Rachel toasted, I presented the report, my pulse a drumbeat. I recorded her reaction with Liam, whispering, "Now." He nodded, calling the journalist. At 6:15 p.m., the room froze, Rachel's face paling as the truth hit, the camera rolling. The dining room evening erupted into a whirlwind of chaos, relatives scattering like startled galas fleeing the warm lights, Media phones pivoting to capture every frame of the unfolding family drama, Rachel's protests drowned by the clink of dropped cutlery that reverberated off the wood, the light casting bright beams across the scene. Ollie stood stunned near the table, Max's hand on his shoulder offering silent support, his eyes wide with shock as the truth hit, while guests murmured in clusters, their social world shaken by the scandal. I stood tall, my top a badge of my hard-earned resolve forged over 32 years, my camera bag a symbol of strength that had carried me through the toughest nights, my heart pounding with a mix of vindication and the bittersweet ache of a family nearly lost to Rachel's greed that had cast a long shadow. Miss Patel's journalist swarmed the scene, her notepad a stark contrast to the cottage's cozy decor of wood and photos, presenting the report as Rachel roared, "This is a setup, Clara, you'll pay!" her voice cracking with the desperation of a sister watching her claim dissolve. They read terms, forgery exposed, estate reclaimed, inheritance split. Each word a hammer blow to her plans, the list growing with a $20,000 car cost she'd funded, their voices steady as they recited the litany. Liam approached, his voice a lifeline amid the din of shouting and camera shutters. "They're done, Clara. You've done it. Her lie is out," he said, his eyes alight with the thrill of the reckoning. The media frenzy was immediate. Headlines like Hayes' Inheritance Haul and Sister's 32-year revenge blazed across screens by 8 p.m., my name a murmur of awe in the chaos that swirled through the room, phones thrust toward me like lenses seeking a shot. Rachel turned to me, her face flushed with rage that modeled her once smug features, sweat beading on her brow like dew on a table, her silk blouse now wrinkled as the journalist tightened her grip on the report, her posture slumping under the weight of defeat. "You! After all this time, you petty photographer? You've ruined me!" she bellowed, her voice breaking with the desperation of a woman whose dominance was shredded, her hands shaking as she pointed at me with a trembling finger. I met her gaze, unflinching despite the tremor in my own hands that betrayed the adrenaline coursing through me, my voice clear and resonant with the strength of 32 years of silent effort that had honed my resolve. "You stole my share, Rachel, that your forgery deserved my inheritance. I proved you wrong, with proof that outlasts your greed, with grit that outran your schemes, with every photo I captured while you faltered. This is my payback for me, for Ollie whose future you shadowed, for every relative you deceived, for every bond you broke with your ego." She lunged, her wine glass raised in a futile gesture of defiance that spoke of her last grasp at control, but the journalist restrained her with firm hands, dragging her out as Uncle sobbed uncontrollably, his fork slipping to clatter on the floor in a spray of silver, a symbol of his fallen support. Ollie rushed to me, his voice breaking through the noise like a lifeline tossed into a stormy room. "Aunt Clara, I didn't know. I'm sorry for believing her," he said, tears streaking his face as he wrapped his arms around me, the first embrace in months that mended a rift I'd feared growing. I hugged him back, the warmth of his body against mine a balm to the wounds of the past, Max nodding in support with a quiet smile, a bridge to a future reclaimed from the shadows of my past. The crowd buzzed with reporters, their phones thrust toward me like shutters seeking a frame, but I turned away, my victory a private snapshot burning bright within, a celebration no scandal could dim. The fallout was swift and relentless, a reckoning that dismantled the remnants of Rachel's inheritance claim. The journalist reclaimed the $20,000 cost, seizing the will records from the lawyer's office in Kent Town where files sat silent, documents from forgery logs hauled away in folders, freezing her personal accounts that held the profits of her deceit, halting her trip across SA where she'd once planned, while inspectors reviewed the will for fraud, uncovering a safe with fake signatures. Her dominance collapsed like a blurred image, her reputation tarnished beyond repair, friends distancing themselves with shrugs, her name a cautionary tale whispered in parks from North Adelaide to Glenelg, a fallen sister replaced by silence. The media dug deeper, uncovering a $10,000 slush fund for Uncle's notarization that funded Rachel's car and lawyer, a detail that sent shockwaves through the Adelaide family scene and prompted a legal inquiry, the scandal dominating morning news. Ollie reconciled fully, joining me in learning photography for my studio, while Liam and I planned a gallery exhibit in a space we'd saved for, the scent of film a promise of peace. Rachel faded from social circles, her friend group dissolving like a receding tide, and relatives, including Uncle, distanced themselves, seeking new ties to escape the taint. I didn't gloat. My goal was fairness, not destruction, a balance I'd learned from years of capturing beauty, but the sight of her fall brought a profound peace that filled the hollow left by her theft, a quiet satisfaction that settled in my soul like a well-focused lens. That evening, at 8:42 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time on August 7, 2025, I sat with a cup of tea that glowed amber in the candlelight, the news confirming her retreat on a muted radio, a letter from Rachel in hand, its envelope creased from my grip. "Clara, I was wrong. Help me," it pleaded, her handwriting shaky with the defeat that had finally overtaken her, the ink smudged as if by tears of regret. I didn't reply, the past too raw, my strength too hard-won to soften now, the paper crumpling in my fist as I set it aside to focus on the celebration ahead. Months later, her hearing began in a courtroom in Adelaide Magistrates' Court, the journalist and inspectors wielding my evidence with the precision of a photographer's hand, Ms. Patel's testimony a damning narrative of legal fraud, and Liam's media records of final exposure, the gallery filled with former friends who nodded in silent support, their invitations traded for nods. I attended the first day, my presence a silent testament to my journey from betrayed sister to this moment, seated beside Ollie and Liam, whose hand I held tightly, and watched Rachel's defense crumble under the weight of truth, dozens of witnesses stepping forward with tales of pressure and forgery, their voices a chorus of validation that echoed through the room. The judge, a stern jurist with a passion for fairness and a gavel that rang like a shutter click, ordered a full investigation, hinting at a potential restitution and fines that loomed like a blank film, his ruling a vindication of my 32-year wait. Ollie and I launched Hayes Photography, restoring family pride with creative projects, hiring Ms. Patel as a consultant whose expertise bridged my past and present, while Liam retired from editing to teach photography to kids, his hands finding new purpose in lenses. I visited the cottage once, its rooms silent with the absence of Rachel's voice, its photos a memory of my youth, a monument to her greed and my redemption that stood tall in my heart. My revenge, 32 years in the making, was not just justice served with a stroke of spite, it was my rebirth, a celebration reclaimed from the wreckage of her theft, a testament to the resilience I'd always carried within, a masterpiece that grew richer with each bond one mended.